this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to Get It Right Texoma with the trio Mike Hendrick, Terry McAdams, Trey Sarala. So glad to have you with us once again. Thank you for joining us. However you get the program on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, however it comes to you. I know YouTube. I'm starting to love YouTube a lot more lately for some reason. I don't know. I think it's because we're here.
Yeah, there you go. He gets to see his mug on it.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
And by the way, we've got a empty chair here. That's significant because that means it's going to be filled in just a little bit.
Yes. Yep. So we've got Coach Lawrence Johnson from Legacy High School joining us here in just a few minutes. And we're going to be talking with him about the football pro. Of course, he's the head coach and I think
athletic
the
coordinator.
So, basically, if it's athletics, he's in charge.
Yep. And then following him, we have Coach Mark Bindel from Memorial High School. Yep. Same position at Memorial.
So we got lots to talk about with the two new high schools here in Wichita Falls and their athletic programs. That's coming up shortly here. We get together here to inform, entertain, and enlighten you as often as we can. And we, again, appreciate you being here with us each time. So thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. Be sure to visit our website, getitrighttexoma.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and like and share this with everyone you know. And also, be sure to go to our, if you're on YouTube, if you haven't already subscribed to us, hit the subscribe button while you're there. Please do that for us as well. So we got a few things we're going to talk about real quick before we get into our interview with Coach Johnson coming up here momentarily. The Redneck Culinary Academy is doing a fish fry event with the volunteer fire departments. Got several volunteer fire departments.
Right. It's a multi department fish fry event. Wichita West, Wichita East, Electra, K-May, Freeburg, Cooper, and Cameron Gardens off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And that's going to be coming up Saturday the 9th.
Yes.
And so tickets are $15 ahead of time. You can get your tickets from any volunteer fire department, any of the ones that I mentioned, obviously, or they're $20 at the door, but that gets you a full catfish dinner, French fries, hush puppies, drink, dessert, coleslaw,
the whole
shooting match.
The whole thing.
And it's going to be at the Knights of Columbus Hall that's on Turtle Creek Road, which is right off Seymour Highway in Wichita Falls. And we're going to be serving from noon to 4. And the fire departments are going to be out there. They're going to have games, and they're going to have their equipment out there. And I don't really know what all they're going to do. We basically said, here's your booth. Y'all do what y'all do. We're going to do what we do. We're also going to have a gun raffle there. And so tickets are going to be $10 a piece or 6 tickets for $50. And you get your choice of 3 guns, and they're all high-quality guns. It's a pistol, a shotgun, and a rifle. I don't remember which ones they are, but you can check it out on Facebook, and you'll see the guns that you get a shot.
So you win the raffle, you get to pick which one you want.
You get your choice of those 3 guns.
And a little tidbit that a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't realize this till I obviously learned about it, but there are more fire departments that are volunteer in our country.
Oh, yeah.
Than there are paid.
That's right.
And
yes.
A buddy of mine, I just got back from last week from an IT conference, and one of my buddies from my fellow Apple resellers around the country, he's up in New York and Buffalo, near Buffalo. He was the fire chief of a volunteer fire department up there.
Well, they do great work, and so they always need support. Everybody's volunteer, but that equipment's expensive, the training's expensive, all the ancillary things. Yep. So come check it out. That's going to be the 9th. It's going to be Saturday the 9th at the Knights of Columbus Hall, Turtle Creek Road, Wichita Falls, multi-department event. And if you want to contact one of those fire departments, you can get your tickets early. They're only $15 if you get them ahead of time.
Oh,
cool.
There you go.
$20 at the door.
Now, the following weekend, we got the Governor's Small Business Summit coming up. Where's that going to be held?
That's going to be down at the MPEC. And so for more information on this, you can contact the chamber. This is put on through the chamber, Wichita Falls Chamber. I don't know a lot about it. I'm signed up for it. I'm going to go to it. That's my plan. But it's a mandate from the governor's office, And I think they're doing these all over the state and these summits of small business. So I'm sure they're going to have resources that come in and talk about small business. I really don't know what all they're going to talk about.
Well, I
It'll
think
be
this one
interesting.
is focused on veterans, though, if I remember. I saw it on Facebook.
I don't
and,
think
yeah.
so.
Well,
I don't think this one is. No, there's another one that is.
Oh,
this is not.
Oh, okay.
There's
This
a
isn't-
whole
oh,
chamber
yeah,
has a whole
they've got
bunch
a
of
lot of-
stuff.
okay, then-
Yeah, there's another thing that's veterans. This one's not focused on. It's just
Oh,
a small
okay.
business summit.
Okay.
Well, I do know that one of the goals of these small business summits is to help raise, number one, raise awareness of small businesses and,
Sure.
and the very, very large role that they play in the Texas economy. Most businesses in Texas are small businesses. Most employ fewer than 100 people, and most have overall budgets under $1 million in annual
Revenue.
expenditures, revenue, whatever. So most businesses in Texas are truly small businesses, and so it's to raise awareness for them, but also to help them network and find resources that they need for different things. I'm sure there's going to be some discussions about funding and lending and taxes and all that kind of stuff. There have been some changes like in franchise taxes and stuff in Texas that are to the benefit of small business owners.
Right. So if you'll go on the chamber website, it's on there and you can sign up right there.
Yeah. So check that out. Now, each program we've been talking about a local restaurant, a locally owned restaurant, and this particular show we're going to talk about one that's I would say legendary would be
Absolutely.
a good word to describe it.
I don't know how long the original's been around, but it's been a long time.
So, Scotty, it's got the Parkway Grill on Southwest Parkway. They've been there, got to be 35 years.
I would say so.
At
Were
least.
they there when we were in high school?
They might have been.
Or if they weren't, they were there
or shortly after.
thereafter when we were in
so
college.
roughly 35 years there, and then about a decade ago.
1983.
Oh,
Wow, that's a
okay,
lot longer than that.
41 years.
Yeah. Well,
Excuse me.
yeah.
41 years.
Before they started that when we were in grade school, Mike.
Yes, they did. So 41 years there, and then about a decade ago, maybe closer to 12 years ago now, they started what was called Parkway Grill North, and this is on Central Freeway in that shopping center right in front of the Walmart,
Right.
on Central Freeway or I-44 North, or this is actually on the southbound side. And then a few years ago, they rebranded it as Northside Grill. Still owned by the same people,
Same menu.
same menu. Slightly different hours, but basically it's exactly the same restaurant.
I think what they did was, because it would be confusing. I'm sure it was like, meet me at Parkway.
Which one?
North or south or whatever. So I don't really know what all the reasoning behind it was, but yeah, they did. The one thing about it is you can just guaranteed top quality food at both places.
So probably one of the more legendary things on their menu, and it's so simple, but no one seems to do it quite like they do. They have cheese sticks.
Yes.
They're about the size of my forearm.
Yeah.
That's only a slight exaggeration, by the
Haven't
way.
had those.
And they're awesome. And
Oh.
they're cooked. They cook them right, because I've had some of those fat cheese sticks at other places where they're kind of raw in the middle, or they're really, really dark on the outside. So Parkway has figured out how to cook those at the right temperature for the right time.
Yep,
Yes. And they are fantastic. And I can't believe you haven't tried those.
No,
yet.
but I will say this. I believe they have the best onion rings in Wichita Falls.
Oh, their onion rings are
They-
awesome.
Onion rings are awesome.
I haven't had anybody kicked off the beat them yet, but
They're on the Mount Rushmore of onion
There
rings,
you
is what
go.
you're saying.
And a lot of people probably don't think Mexican food or even Tex-Mex when they think about Parkway Grill, but I will tell you, they do have an enchilada plate that is spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And as Tex-Mex goes, it's really good. So don't sleep on that.
Oh, and their burgers are good. Their tacos are good. Their tacos are really good. I mean, their whole menu is high quality.
and
They-
I like. Well, go ahead.
They're one of the local restaurants that took up the mantle of producing the former Stanley's Barbecue Beanie Burger.
Right, it's around. Yep.
So and theirs is really good. It's one of the better ones I've had.
Well, I think they have one. It's off menu now, but you can still order it. Last time I was there, month and a half ago or so. But I think it's the cheeseburger salad.
Yeah.
It is huge. Number
Yes.
one, but they put grilled onions on it, and oh my, it just, I don't know, there's something about it.
Is it basically a cheeseburger in a bit of lettuce, right?
But, but the thing is, their meat patty.
Yeah.
Oh, the meat is so good. It's not. I'm sorry. It tastes so good because that, along with that, the cheese and everything else they throw into that salad. But anyway, it's off menu. You have to ask for it.
Yep.
It would be nice if they were open right now because I'm ready to head over there.
I know.
Wow.
The
Parkway Grill, check them out. Well, either on the Southwest Parkway or off
North
Central
Side Grill.
North Side Grill on Central Expressway.
Yep.
You won't be sad that you went.
No. Long time ago. Feels like a lifetime ago now. I used to do a Saturday sports show. I was the producer of it, and we would do it live from Parkway Grill on Southwest Parkway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we would go in there, we would do our hour-long show, and then, of course, we had to stay and eat afterwards.
Of course, yeah.
You know? And I felt like such an amateur because I'm working with a couple of guys that could down about 30 wings apiece, you know. I'm good for about 7.
Yeah. By the way, their wings are great, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I want to make a point, too, on these restaurant focuses. We're not sponsored by it.
They're not paying us a penny.
We're just picking local places that we personally have been to,
and that we like, and that are local,
right? Or we've heard good things about, or whatever. We're trying to highlight those.
In fact, I'll be honest with you. I have 3 or 4 times gone to a restaurant, paid my bill, and then once I paid my bill, talked to the manager and said,
Hey,
can I get some your contact information? Yep. We're doing this show. I wanted to make sure that I paid my bill first. I didn't want there to be any sense that I'm trying to get something for free. But I'm glad you brought that up, Terry. Yeah, we're not getting free meals and discounts, nothing like that. No. This is just 100% for the benefit of Wichita Falls or the local area.
And we're not doing the chains. We could do. There's one that's a franchise. If it's locally owned, we might consider that. But otherwise, it's really focused on the local.
The true locally owned.
Local.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
All right. So coming up here, we're going to have as our guest Coach Lawrence Johnson from Legacy High School. We're going to be talking with him about all the great things happening over there. Coach Mark Bindel from Memorial is going to join us after that. Coming up here on Get It Right Tech Zone, we're going to take a break here. Stay tuned. Back with more very quickly. Hey, welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, and our very special guest in the studio with us is Coach Lawrence Johnson. He is you're at Memorial or Legacy High School.
Yes, sir.
From Legacy High. I got to get it straight here. We got 2 brand new high schools and a whole slew of things going on. How you doing this morning?
I'm blessed, man.
Good.
I'm blessed. I'm good.
Good.
How are you guys?
We're doing well, I think.
Yeah.
So, brand new high school, brand new school year, brand new everything.
Correct.
How's it working out so far?
It's been challenging. It's been fun, getting to know new kids, new teachers, new coaches.
Yeah.
Just a brand new climate, new atmosphere. That's been fun in itself.
Yeah.
And Coach, you're not first new to Wichita Falls. Of course, you were head coach at Hershey last couple of years. But give us a little bit about what your background is leading you to Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
Where did you coach and where did you start and where did you go to school and all that sort of thing?
Man, I've been coaching all over Texas. So I'm from Levelland, Texas, graduated there, went and played football at Eastern New Mexico.
Which, by the way, is one of the most appropriate names of any place in the state of Texas. It is Level there.
Where's it at?
Portales, New Mexico.
No.
Levelland. It's right outside of Lubbock.
Yeah.
Lubbock. Oh,
22 miles west of
Plainview
Lubbock.
and Levelland are the two that are about good. There's a Plainview and there's Level out there.
Yeah.
Nicknamed the Flatland.
Yeah.
For a reason.
So then you went to New Mexico for college.
Yes, sir.
Then.
Played football out there. And so
There ain't nothing between there and the Canadian border but 2 trees and a barbed wire fence, and the fence is down half the time.
There you
there you
go.
go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's about it.
So you just started coaching once I graduated, and was as far west as Tornillo. Lived in El Paso. I've coached in Jasper, Alpine, Sladen, and then I got to go reconnect with one of my teammates, Antonio Wiley, at Louisville, and so he got the job down here at Hershey. He brought me with him, and that started the tradition at at Hershey, the tradition at Hershey, and was fortunate enough I went back to Sladen, became the AD there. Came back down here to be the head football coach, athletic coordinator at Hershey when Coach Wiley took the Coppell job, and so that started, the Wichita Falls era for the Johnson family.
All right. So you've been busy.
I've been a coach. Willing to move, go and grow.
What were your thoughts the first minute that you walked in and saw the new high school? I mean, the new facilities.
Sure.
I mean, not only from the high school standpoint, but specifically the athletic facilities standpoint.
Well, when you think about where you're coming from, and then you walk into this brand new building, and it's just got a new touch, new feel, new air. It was great, and the first thing I think about was this is what our kids deserve. They deserve new facilities, updated facilities, because when we travel to opponents' games, their game sites, we're blown away by some of these facilities that we're traveling to, and we didn't have that, and we didn't need the excuse to be able to play at a high level, to have all this new stuff, this new shiny stuff. Our kids were used to the rust and dust theme, and so you want something shiny, you earn it, but for our kids to finally get something brand new that's up to date, innovative, the learning atmospheres are very, very high, high intelligence, the rooms, the boards, the walls they're dry erase boards, but just all the learning environments and opportunities for our kids is something that you think about when you stepped into those new schools, and then also, being able to compete at a high level.
Yeah, well, the new schools, I mean, there's really no aspect of them that reflects what the old schools were like.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the school you came from was built in 1963, and the other high schools in town were much older, and so the new high schools, everything about them everything's a modern design. Everything's designed to flow and flex differently.
Sure.
And I would expect that the athletic facilities are probably no exception to that at all.
The weight room is my favorite place. I mean, obviously it grows all athletes, every kiddo in a sport, but then you go out to the complex, and once that's complete, it's going to be you can have a great evening out there just watching multiple sports by walking through one gate. And that's going to be a cool atmosphere in the spring.
Yeah, that's going to be the big innovation, I think, for Wichita Falls for these schools, is to have that.
Right, both schools are going to have their own athletic complex as well. Now, you'll still play varsity sports at Memorial. Your varsity football at Memorial Stadium.
Just because we don't have the capacity, the seating capacity to be able to host everybody. But every other varsity sport will be played on site, which will be pretty cool.
There will be.
I think it's great because you can help get the neighborhood involved a little bit more.
Absolutely.
You get people who aren't going to drive clear across town type thing, people who get off work late and they work out of town or on that side of town, they can swing by and see their kid play at least part of a game and things like that. I think you're going to see some really good attendance, and I think it's good for the culture of the school, just getting the neighborhood more involved. Yeah.
Will soccer also just continue? The varsity will play over at the at Memorial, and then
the goal is for everybody to play at their home campuses,
except for football.
Except for varsity.
Except for football.
Yeah, football is going to draw
because too many people.
Yeah, soccer's limited on how many people go to watch soccer games. So.
Well, football in Texas is practically its own religion. Come on,
I mean, Friday nights, man.
It's
everything.
There's nothing
down.
about it.
Yeah. It's funny because all these different sports have been tried here. Semi-professional and amateur, this, that, and the other, and they just never seem to work. The public does not react to them long term. High school football, they do. Yeah. I mean, high school football, people are going to turn out. Wind, rain, snow, shine, hail, doesn't matter what the weather's doing, doesn't matter what the conditions are, doesn't matter any of that. People are going to show up for those high school football games because that's their kids playing. That's their family out there. And so they're going to be there for that. And that has always had a strong following all over the state, but I think especially here in North Texas, it's been a tremendously strong following. And I think you're going to see some growth. Both the new high schools, you're going to see some residential growth in those areas over the next few years. The pace of that growth is going to depend on a lot of factors that y'all have no control over, but growth nonetheless. And so you're going to see an increase in students, and that's probably going to mean an increase in athletes as well for you. So that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about it. Just the interest in athletics.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely,
for sure.
Definitely.
Now, one thing I've I just lost the word. Disclosure.
Okay.
Yeah, full disclosure.
I read your mind.
Yeah, full disclosure. I've had a relationship with Coach Johnson the last couple of years. We've worked together when I was calling Archie football games and had some time to sit down and just visit about not only football but life and everything. And the one thing I will say is I I find Coach Johnson is a man of high quality, high character, high quality character. And just tell everybody a little bit about your coaching philosophy, because it's not just about the X's and O's. There's a whole lot more to this guy right here than the football coach. And if you just kind of would tell everybody a little bit what your coaching philosophy is when you're out there, what is your goal?
Well, the biggest thing we can teach kids, obviously, is how to respond to adversity. That's a big thing, because it's going to happen. Change is the only thing that's going to be consistent, and just controlling that response, not just on the playing field, but in life in general. Yeah. We want our kids to graduate and win. And unfortunately, this year our wins haven't come on the scoreboard like we've wanted it to, and so life lessons are really taking its toll on us through the lens of sports. And so, yeah, it's not fair, but you got to keep working, you got to keep grinding. You can't fold, So these last couple weeks, just keep fighting, don't fold, keep fighting, don't fold. It's a life lesson. Don't give up on your marriage, Don't give up on your job when things get tough, So we're forming relationships and loving on kids and just really focusing on that. Like, this is a game that you're in a relationship with. You're not married to it. But the life lessons, take care of your family, love on your family, take care of your teammates, be a good student, be a good son, so some of those life lessons that aren't directly reflected on the field, because when you're inside those lines, everything, you have the same opportunity as the other 11 guys. And so, but you're competing. And so we're competing for life. We're competing for a job. We're competing for an education. Competing for a girlfriend. You're competing for everything in life. So really, just instilling some of those aspects into our kiddos. The values. We live off ABCDs. Accountability, brotherhood, compete, discipline, selflessness. Those are our core values. And then when we get this thing really rolling, and we're still banking on our seniors right now. They're still showing up to practice. Where most would be like, oh man, what are we playing for? We're just going to go out here and have fun. No, we're going to compete. We're going to go try to get after Paladuro this week. Again, that's what we want to finish the season the right way. I find we need to get the blank off the board.
Well, I mean, you have to learn how to absorb the losses to appreciate the wins. I mean, you got to.
It's a teacher.
You got to go through failure to be able
Correct.
to appreciate success.
Correct.
And that's just part of it. It's a competition. There's going to be a winner. There's going to be a loser every single time. That's just how it is.
Yes, sir.
That's just how it is. And so I think, if they're focused on, hey, how do we improve? How do we do better?
Absolutely.
From here, I don't know. The Cowboys might be looking for a coach soon. What do you think about that?
So, I got a question.
They test my loyalty every week. I'm still a fan.
What's the makeup of your team? I guess technically you'd have. I'm guessing you have students from all three schools, the old schools.
Pretty good mix,
right?
Terry.
Okay.
We've got 5 or 6 starters that played for us at Hershey. We had 1 starter from Ryder, and we had 2 from Old High. Two guys that consistently started.
So how do you think how's that playing out overall psychologically? Let me ask this. This is my thing. Were the adults tied to the old schools more than the kids, or were the kids, or was there more?
Yeah. I believe so.
That was an adult thing rather than the kid.
Because they walked through those halls. They helped establish some of the traditions that their kids got to experience. And so, sure, there's emotions attached to this. I mean, and I'm not from here, so I don't have that attachment.
I'm not either. So,
to all the old schools. I just looked at the school I was in when we were getting ready to go into the 3rd round of playoffs. We didn't have running water. Right. I'm looking at it from that, and our kids were having to get water from the field or from the weight room and put it in trash cans just to walk it up the sideway by the tennis courts to put it in the toilet so we can flush the toilets. I'm looking at when it rains, we have to put trash cans throughout the building for the rain to drip into. I'm looking at those things.
That was last year, though.
Yeah.
Right. That's not this year,
no, not the new. But I see what you're saying.
We're looking at. I'm looking at that. So I'm all about the new schools,
right?
But still an appreciation for the other 3 schools. I mean, I got 3 football helmets from all 3 schools. Why? Because that's where our kids came from. I don't want them to forget where they come from and what helped them, helped mold them into being a leopard. I mean, it took a coyote, it took a husky, it took a rojo. I mean, it took those three programs to grow into a leopard.
Well, here's a lesson too that you could probably, and you may have already done it, but families, when merge together when you have
Blended families.
blended families
My family's that way.
of all
It's-
kinds.
yeah.
Whether it's even if it's first marriage and all that, and then you have your kids, but you're taking two people and merging and you're not just getting the two people, you're getting everybody
Everybody's
behind them.
associated.
And so now that's what this is. We've merged a bunch of families into two new schools. That's not to do away with your history at all.
No,
but
no.
it
Don't
needs to be
ever
appreciated.
forget it because it's very much appreciated.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Well, football was tough this year. We just acknowledge that. That's we all know. If anybody's kept up with it, you experienced some pretty significant losses in players. You had some
Yes, sir.
injuries. The injury bug got you this year, and have had some issues. But like you said, you got 2 more games left. Going to finish them out. Hopefully, get a couple more wins here. So moving forward, though, now we have a whole rest of the school year of athletics.
Yes.
So what are you seeing moving forward with the rest of the athletics? Football season's basically it's towards the end for you got 2 more weeks, and that's going to be it for the season. So moving forward, what do you see is going on with the rest of the athletics at Legacy?
We're going to grow the program. We're going. The foundation's laid. I mean, I keep telling kids like we're going to reap a harvest. We've planted seeds. Started with this first senior class, and we're going to keep growing. We'll keep watering. We're going to keep growing. The goal is to really establish who we are as a program. And instead of having 3 different identities, we're gonna merge into one. Like we're still building relationships with kiddos, and that's going to take time. But obviously, having a traditional off season is going to help with that. Kids being in the same building, us not having to travel to 3 different schools, high schools, and then 3 different middle schools to run an off season, the same off season, but at a different location without the entire team together. So that's going to help us. We're going to fail in that weight room. We're going to fail forward because we're going to get after kids. We're going to love on them, and we're going to challenge them in the off season, and that's what it's for. So we're going to find out who we're going to become through this off season, and that's going to be great to see.
So basketball, soccer, track. What do you see moving forward with those 3 sports?
I think they're going to have success just because we're gaining a lot of kids from all 3 schools, and those programs have already had success. And so we want to continue that winning tradition with them as well. And from my position, I'm going to support them. I promote the sharing athletes and hey, man, why don't you go play? You kick the ball pretty good. Why don't you go do this? Hey, you throw a ball pretty well. Why don't you go play baseball? We want kids to play everything and represent our school. I need you competing in everything. And obviously track's that's the X factor right there. We need everybody to run track. Speed can be utilized in every sport. Yeah. So we're going to grow our athletic programs, increase our numbers, and just want kids to compete, represent our school with class.
It used to be required when I know it was at Kirby. When I was at Kirby, if you played football, you had to run track. You had to be in track.
Those two are related.
You had to throw. You could throw shot put, but you still had to do all the track workouts and stuff like that. And then you had to do that at Hershey as well. So that was kind of the mandate.
Yeah. Well, it's like golf. Where a lot of players struggle is putting. Anybody can learn to drive the ball. It's once you get up on the green, that's where the real game starts. Right there, that's where the challenge begins.
Absolutely.
So we still have golf at the high school level.
We do, and they've got fall and spring golf. So they've gone to 3 or 4 tournaments already.
Yeah.
So
It's exciting times for you for sure.
blooming.
For sure, Coach Lawrence Johnson, Legacy High School.
Yes, sir.
Is our guest right now. So moving forward, it sounds like you got big plans and lots of things in the pipeline.
We do.
And I think you are going to see growth in terms of student body. Like I said, it just the pace of that depends on a lot of other factors, but I think you are going to see growth in the months and years ahead.
Well, right. I mean, the new schools themselves are going to give a lot of people a reason to pick Wichita Falls over a Burke or an Iowa Park or even a City View or whatever. And I think because there's talk about competition. The schools themselves.
Well, sure.
They always competing,
right? Yeah. And with these new schools, I think that's great. Plus, it sets up the whole city now to draw
and
new
people to come in.
Yeah,
I mean that's right.
Yeah.
Wichita Falls is always competing. Right. So, well, Coach, we're wrapping it up here. Is there anything else you wanted to tell our listeners, or anything else? Or
I just keep supporting the Leopards.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just keep supporting us.
Coach Johnson, thanks for being with us, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll look forward to having you back sometime soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. We're going to take a break here. More Get It Right Texoma is on the way. Mark Bindel, I believe, is going to join us.
That's correct.
Coming up here in just a few minutes. And so another one of our illustrious coaches here in the fall. So be sure and stay tuned for that. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike, Trey, Terry. Well, Terry, Trey. Let me get it right here.
We got the same letters in our names.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and they look so much alike. Hell, they could be twins.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, welcome back.
The trio's turned to a quattro again.
Yes, we have. We've got another guest with us here at the studio. We want to welcome Mark Bindel. He's the head football coach over at Memorial
Thank y'all for having me.
High School. How are you?
Great setup. I'm awesome.
Yeah, head football coach and athletic coordinator for
Athletic
Memorial.
coordinator.
Yeah.
And athletics is going really well at Memorial. Volleyball's going well. Cross country and tennis. We're just starting up basketball. So there's a lot of good things, a lot of kids competing, and that's what you want.
And football's going well. Congratulations, by the way, you've clinched the playoffs.
We have
clinched a playoff spot.
We did clinch a playoff spot, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Very proud of our kids.
I was great to send that text to you after that crazy game that was so close, and I
yes.
shot Mark a text and said, congratulations on the clinch there.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's been a battle. Our kids worked really hard. We did off seasons at Old High and just different places. We'd bring them all together after school and lift weights, and to finally kind of have a home and see all that work come to fruition is special. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, give everybody a little bit of background on you, where you started and where you've coached. I know you've been at Ryder for a long time, but where did you start? Where did you go to school, and where did you start your coaching career?
So I was born and raised here in Wichita Falls, went to Old High, graduated in 99, went to University of North Texas for a little bit, and then finished at Midwestern. Then started my coaching career. I coached with Danny Edelman, who was a former head coach at Hershey, and I was a Wichita Falls guy. I think Coach Leo Britton had called Coach Edelman and got him to hire me, which is, it's hard to get your foot in the door. And so coached with him for 4 years and then came back. The coaches that had coached me at Old High were at Ryder. So Lindy Welburn, Mike Page, those guys are actually assistants at Ryder now. And I, Coach Welburn was my position coach. I always wanted to coach with him, and so got that opportunity at Ryder. And then when Jim Garfield got the head job, he asked me to stick around and be the co-offensive coordinator with Tim Radke and Robbie Wood. And the rest is history. I mean, we had great players come through there, and J.T. Barrett was our quarterback when we were the offensive coordinator, and needless to say, we were really good with him. And I think the success that we had and when Coach Garr moved on, I was fortunate enough to become the head coach at Ryder and was there for the last 10 years and got the head job at Memorial. And I'm just blessed to be able to coach those kids. We've had really good players come through, play for us, great coaching staff, not just in football. And I've been really blessed. So,
Coach Bindel, I would imagine that, you talked about how sometimes it's hard to get your foot in the door and that kind of thing. It is a very competitive world in the world of coaching. I mean, you've got a lot of men and women coaching in different sports, football, volleyball, basketball, just run down the list. So I would imagine it is very competitive. But even in a place like Wichita Falls, you got to earn your stripes, don't you? I mean, you really got to put in the work and work to get to that level. And clearly you have. I mean, you've had a lot of years here. As a local guy, a hometown guy doing this, and there's I think there's got to be some great benefit to you in that having that aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, I think coaches are competitive. They want to work hard, and you want to have success, and you have to balance. I think, why are you coaching? I don't think you're coaching just to go win games. You're trying to impact kids' lives, and there's a lot of coaches that do that may never win games, but they're doing a good job in that aspect, and so. It is Texas, however. Things are competitive. If you want to keep a job, you have to win. And so we have had a lot of success on the teams I've been a part of here in Wichita Falls. They've had a lot of success, and so we've been able to stick around. But I think we're also doing the thing – we're doing what we love to do, and that's help kids become young men and women and grow and leave when they graduate better than when they came in.
I asked Coach Johnson the same question here. Describe to us what your initial time when you first walked into Memorial High School for the first time, and especially looked at the athletic facilities. What was that moment like?
So it was overwhelming, because they're so big. I mean, it takes me, I timed it and I walked fast. It takes me almost 5 minutes to walk from my office to the principal's office. And so it's big and overwhelming. They're so nice. And so you just overwhelmed with the awe of everything. And then immediately the second thing that hit me was, how are we going to keep this all clean? You know, because there's so many kids that are going to come through and it's so big. And so instantly go into campus coordinator mode and, okay, how are we going to make sure this looks good? But no, the kids have done a great job. They've really respected the facilities, which was kind of a worry. You know, sometimes you get new stuff and kids don't take care of it. I think that's just my own kids at my house, but sometimes, but they really have taken care of it. They've respected kind of what the community has given them, and we're very thankful because it's awesome.
Well, and you do, you know, you talk about the size of it. Obviously, these schools were designed for expansion and for growth. I mean, they were designed with it in mind that, hey, we're going to be adding students. We're going to grow. This community is going to grow, and the schools are going to have to grow with it. So they've already kind of built in a growth mindset for that.
Sure.
And I'm sure the athletic facilities are no different. You're set up to be able to grow the number of students you're going to have involved in the athletic programs going forward.
Yeah, we have 3 gyms, which and there are 3 competitive gyms. You can host games. So just the amount of kids that you can even have on a volleyball team or a basketball team is going to grow. So we don't have to cut as many, which means kids are more involved in things, which means there's coaches watching over their grades and all that kind of. So just the more kids that you can have involved in things, I think the better the school environment is.
Yeah, well, I mean, athletics has probably saved a lot of kids over the years from bad situations and bad things. It's given them something to focus on, particularly after the academic day is over with.
Absolutely.
Something to focus on other than going out and getting in trouble. It's given them a purpose, you know, and something else to put their attention and their energy into.
That's right. Nothing good happens at home from 3 to 5 because parents aren't there, you know. So if they can stick around and work on their grades and be at practice, I think that's a good thing for everybody.
Now, Coach, I've known you a long time because I was on the school board the same time that you were coaching in Wichita Falls, and so we've had conversations over the years. Tell everybody a little bit about your coaching philosophy, because you are not just a football coach, meathead X's and O guys.
No.
There's so much more to you, and there's so much more complexity to your philosophy of not just coaching kids on the field, but coaching them in life. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Well, first off, I appreciate that, but I wouldn't say it was just me. I think when, especially at Memorial, and I felt like the coaches were like this at Ryder that we worked together with. We wanted coaches that it's like we talked about earlier. It's more than just winning, right? And so I grew up like in college. In high school, I grew up as part of Young Life, and so kind of one of Young Life's philosophies is you win the right to be heard. And so you invest in kids and you invest in relationships. And then once you have that relationship built, you have a trust factor, or you can share truths with them. And so I feel like it's the same way in coaching. You have to win the right to be heard. And anymore, my way or the highway you can't coach like that anymore. Kids are built differently, and you have to build relationships and win trust. And then you can be truthful with them about what you want. And so we've always, as a coaching staff, have tried to model what we want our kids to be. And, you know, we have our families around, you know, teaching them, hey, how to be a good husband, how to be a good dad, you know, be a good friend and teammate, things like that. Stuff that when they leave, they'll remember. Because I don't remember maybe any of the scores of high school football games I played, but I remember my teammates.
You remember the camaraderie.
That's right, absolutely. Everybody, and they don't remember. They don't think that's true right now, but But in 5 years, they'll know it's true.
It's that special connection. You see, I'm sorry, real quick. You see a friend. I've got guys that I played football with in high school years ago, and don't see them for many years. And you see them, and immediately when you shake hands and you hug, you feel that camaraderie again. And you haven't shared anything for 30. In my case, our case, 35 years.
35 years.
Hadn't shared that with those guys 35 years. Yeah. But all that comes back to you a little bit.
So. Well, and that's exactly what I was getting at. It was about how you feel is what you remember in the future. You don't remember the specific conversations. You don't remember a particular game necessarily. You don't remember much of this very specifics, but you know, and there may be certain games or there's certain key points in your life, but it's really usually about, and this is life overall, is how we felt, and I hate to use the word, how someone made me feel, because you own your feelings, right? And so how you felt through.
How you feel in the presence of that person is probably a better way to put it.
How you, and how you react to people and that kind of stuff. But regardless, that's what it was. So I also asked Coach Johnson about this specifically, about what's the mix of the kids in your team, on the football team, that came from the different schools. So we have, I would say probably, we have the fewest Hershey kids. So there was probably like 5 or 6 Hershey kids came from Hershey.
One of them's actually doing pretty well. The old Preston Pitts is
they're all doing well. And I'll tell you,
I see him on the highlights. So he's a good possession receiver.
So I'll answer your question, then I have a good little tidbit. So a few from Hershey, and then really the rest is split between Ryder and Old High. It's about 50-50, our makeup of Ryder and Old High. And a cool little tidbit on offense. Our starting 11 on offense, we have 4 Ryder players that start, 4 Old High players, and 3 Hershey players that start. Yeah. And so it truly is a true, there's only 11, you can't have 12, but there's truly a third.
Not fair. No,
a third divide of our starting off, and I think that's really special to see how those guys have come together, because we're doing really well on both sides of the ball. So
well, on that though, I also asked this about how, what was your feeling about the whole controversy about the old schools and them going away and not keeping the names and all that, and versus what the kids think, right? You actually, Coach Johnson said, "Hey, I didn't grow up here. I didn't have any game in this." Or any hunt in this, whatever.
A dog in this
fight.
So, but you did.
Yeah. So I graduated from Wichita Falls High School. I was at Ryder for 15 years. It was really hard.
That long to graduate? No, I'm sorry. You weren't there. But.
It was really hard to watch those buildings close down, because they meant a lot to a lot of people.
Sure.
Including myself. However, I think what we have and what we're building into the future is also really, really special.
Sure.
And there wasn't, I think the biggest issue for our city is there wasn't a way to do it fairly to move forward and retain those high schools. And so I think that starting new and building something fresh, as hard as it was for people that had a solid connection to those schools in the past, was probably the best move. And building something new, and it's hard. It's hard. This is the only time I'm ever going to open up a new school. This is it. This is it. But it's been really, really good. Our kids have responded, and even at Legacy, there's a lot of hype with Legacy and a lot of school spirit that truly maybe didn't show up. As people kind of just got used to Ryder, Old High, and Hershey, and I think you're seeing a little bit more school spirit now. So
and for me, of course, Trey and I both graduated from Hershey, and for me, the issue with Hershey shutting down was more about the logistics of those students having to be bused or transported so far away to get to class, to get to school. That was my concern, is that we were going to somehow hamper them by not having that school in that neighborhood again for them as a high school. Now it's transitioned into a junior high, but so it's still there for them, but it's not there as a high school. How do you feel like that's worked out with those, specifically the Hershey students? They're having to travel 4 or 5 miles away to get to school.
Well, it depends on where you are. A lot of them go to Legacy, and that's not that far. So
it really does.
But now we're not talking walking distance. Now they have to be transported.
That's right.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Just about everybody.
Yeah.
There are some kids that probably live right close to Legacy, but there's probably no kids that live within walking distance of Memorial. Are there any kids that walk to school at Memorial?
I don't think so. Memorial's kind of out there a little bit.
Because it's out there a way. So.
Yeah.
Well, and we hope that changes. Moving forward. We're hoping, and I think the schools
we're going to pull the school back this direction.
I think the schools were designed with that in mind, that there's going to be growth, more homes built, more people moving
in.
Over the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to see some real growth in that area, and that's going to obviously
I think
benefit
so.
and impact your school.
Yeah, and there's like somebody just built an apartment complex right by Memorial as well.
Yeah.
And there's people kind of moving out that way. I don't know where the like holiday city limit lines are drawn with Wichita Falls, but it's we're really close out that way. But there are people and homes being built out that way as well, and so that will take a little bit of time. But I think what you'll see is that they'll at both schools, neighborhoods will start building and flocking. But just because people want to be there, they want to be a part. And,
Well, sure.
And one of the biggest things is there's always people on tours coming through, and it's really good. So.
You mentioned relationships a moment ago, and I want to ask you, how do you feel, and particularly between the relationships between the parents and the staff, not just the athletic faculty, but overall? How have those relationships changed or morphed over the years? Because you've been doing this a while, and obviously you've encountered a lot of parents, in various aspects of your career. How have those relationships changed for the better or the worse?
Well, this is my 11th year to be a head coach. One of the things, coaches aren't perfect. We make mistakes and we learn, right? Just like players do. And so a thing that I've kind of started to do or tried to do as much as I could is communicate, right? And so I think maybe when I first started a head coach or even 20 years ago, you're going to have practice, and when practice is done, well, that's when you can pick your kid up, right? Parents would have to show up and wait for their kid to get done. I think now it's kind of on the coach to make sure that he or she's a communicator. Hey, we're going to practice from this time to this time. This is when you can pick your kid up. If there's issues with behavior, if there's issues where this is why this kid's not playing, the coach needs to be proactive with the player and the parent of, hey, these is the reasons why. And so one thing that hadn't changed is parents are going to be mad about playing time. That's never going to change. And so, but what we can do is be as proactive as possible with our communication. And it's not going to alleviate all the problems, but it's going to alleviate a lot.
By the way, if you're one of those parents that's worried about playing time, tell your kid to get better. Because I guarantee if they're the best one in that position, they will play all the time. As long as they get their attitude right, and get their grades.
Right. Sure.
And if you're the best, you're not going to play. You're not going to play your third string defensive tackle, so he gets extra playing time. It's a meritocracy.
And
it really is.
If the parents are fair and listen and whatever, and they trust you as the coach, that you're and your staff are properly or fairly, and I hate to say, I think equitably, not equally, but equitably, based on their performance, based on their attitude, based on a whole lot of the whole person is what we used to call in the Air Force, the whole person concept. Then if they trust you, then you're going to have fewer issues with parents. And if you've done well to earn their trust. So.
Well, Coach, you mentioned communication, and obviously you're trying to be a better communicator.
Oh, sure, every day.
Communication's a two-way street. Obviously, the parents there's got to be some feedback. They've got to communicate with you. Are parents today better communicators with you as an educator and a coach, or has it gotten worse, or is it kind of the same? Is it pretty consistent?
I'm pretty open, and so we have parent meetings at the beginning of the year and a big parent meeting, and I pretty much kind of put all my information out there, and anytime anybody wants to have a meeting, I try to get it resolved. Now, there's still going to be people that are disgruntled, and they may go to social media or they may talk amongst themselves, but I really keep myself as open as possible. I have an open office, so anytime that you want to come in and have a conversation, we can get that. At least I try to. Now, you may not like the answers, but I'm going to try to be as open, as honest as I can. And more often than not, if a coach will communicate, issues, they may not like the answer, but at least you're being upfront and honest with them. And so,
can at least respect where your position, why you made the decision you made.
That's right.
Well, you can't. I think as a parent, you can't be a poor communicator. Someone who doesn't you don't reach out to the coach, you don't reach out to the teacher, you don't ever go to the meetings, you don't show up for anything, and then turn around and be mad when something happens that you disagree with. Now all of a sudden you've got an opinion.
Right.
Well, hold on a minute. No, you got to communicate. You got to talk. I've always tried with my kids when of course they're adults now, and I got grandkids, but when my kids were growing up, we communicated with the schools all the time, whether it was academics, athletics, didn't matter. We were always involved. We tried to be as involved as we could be. And I made it clear, I'm asking questions because I want to know. There are things I want to know. I want us to to communicate with one another. I don't want it to be a one-way street where, the only time you hear from me is when you pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, your kid's got a problem with XYZ.
Right.
I want there to be more communication than that. And I just feel like that people in general, not just when it comes to the schools, but anything in life, people do such a poor job of just communicating, just talking to one another. Come on, don't try to be a wallflower all the time. You got to talk to people.
That's right.
And I think it makes your job easier. I would think it makes it better for you and better for your students as well.
Yeah, I think I would rather, if there's some frustrations, I think I would rather know about them and try to help correct or at least redirect the frustrations than not know about it. So, I agree with you in that aspect. Just I want to know, and let's communicate, and let's see if we can't get it fixed.
Stop plastering stuff on social media. You know how many arguments and how many fights have been won on social media? Zero.
That's right. We got to wind down here. Go ahead, Terry.
So one thing is, all of that's great if you can get a parent to communicate, even if it's not perfect. It's you're listening. They're there. They're involved, right? And they may not always agree with your answer or whatever. But what about the students and the kids that have parents that you're not ever going to see? I'm going to guess that as important it is to be there for all the kids, I'm sure there have been cases of kids, and maybe one or two or three or multiples over your years, that you've actually feel like that you made the difference, or the overall staff of helping a particular kid whose parents weren't involved and they became a success. And you've seen them go to college, and that had you not been there or had the opportunity to work with them, I bet that's maybe one of the most rewarding things.
It is very rewarding to see them kind of help them achieve their goals, wherever that may be. And I will say sometimes, the phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So sometimes when there's issues, you have to look over and help take care of those kids. But then sometimes there's kids that just show up every day. You don't hear anything from them. They do exactly what you want them to do, and they leave and they go home. You don't have to worry about grades, behavior, or anything. And so those kids also, and this is hard, but you have to make sure that you pull those kids aside and recognize them individually and say, y'all are doing a great job.
Yeah,
because a lot of times you're so focused on the kids that you have to kind of correct or that there's issues with. The kids that show up every day and do right and act right, they need to be acknowledged as well.
All right. Coach Mark Bindel, we appreciate you being with us. Thanks for taking time with us, man. We appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
You got to obviously with playoffs, you got a busy schedule, but going forward as the athletic coordinator, you got a full plate over there for sure.
Got a full plate.
You got a whole year of athletics as well.
Yeah.
That's right. A lot of fun and.
Your job doesn't end with football season.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But we're excited. I'm excited to see. Basketball season has just started up, so excited to see our basketball teams. Soccer's going to start right after Thanksgiving, and it doesn't stop from there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I think there's going to be some powerhouse soccer teams in Wichita Falls because because Hershey's has struggled on and off, but done okay at times. But Ryder and Old High at times have had these high-powered soccer on boys and girls side, and you're going to mix all those together into two schools. I think we're going to see some. Big stuff in soccer, boys and girls in Wichita Falls over the next few years.
I think athletically overall, you got some really exciting times ahead. Some big things are going to happen, and get plenty of rest. I think you're going to need it. So,
thank y'all for having me. It's
Thanks
such a lot of fun.
Coach Mark Bindel, thank you very much, guys. Stick around. We'll come back and wrap it up here with Get It Right Texoma right after this. Hey, welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike, Terry, and Trey. We want to thank our special guests today, Coach Lawrence Johnson and Coach Mark Bindel, for being with us. Thank you very much, guys, for being here.
Both really good guys and good people for Wichita Falls.
Yeah, expect some great things coming out of the Wichita Falls athletic programs going forward. I really believe you will. A couple things we want to talk about today. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, his reelection bid against Democratic challenger Representative Colin Allred. The totals now, is this total for both candidates?
Yeah, this is it's on track.
We're approaching $160 million spent.
Now, that's for him only or both?
No, for
campaigns?
both of them.
Oh,
Both of them.
Okay.
And I would imagine that Colin Allred is pulling a lot of money from out of state.
Yes,
Lots of money.
Most of it's out of state.
Yeah, just like O'Rourke did when he was trying to run. I will tell you this: I see an absolute saturation of Ted Cruz signs everywhere I go. Everywhere. I have seen 2 calling all red signs in the local area.
Yeah, of course, in Wichita Falls, that's what you're going to
you
get.
know,
well,
You go to Dallas and stuff like that. There's going to be places.
Well,
that
I was going to say,
Actually-
you get into the big metro areas, Dallas, El Paso, San Antonio, Austin, because I was driving through that area here a couple of weeks ago. I was down in the Austin area, and the Corpus Christi area. Yeah, you see a lot more of those signs down there. But then you get up here, not so much. It's almost all Ted Cruz. But, O'Rourke, when he ran against Cruz, he spent a ton of money, and still lost to Ted Cruz.
Yeah. O'Rourke is probably, he or Stacey Abrams in American politics are probably the 2 that can spend the most money and not win.
Yeah.
Traditionally, she spent lots of money in Georgia at different bids, and Cruz ran for not only Senate, but he also ran against Abbott for governor at one point and spent a ton of somebody else's money.
Did you watch the debate, either one of y'all, the debate between Cruz and Allred?
Did not.
No.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I heard it went very badly for Allred, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just eviscerated
Well,
him.
Yeah.
Well, on this note, I just wanted to point out as far as the campaign, as far as advertising, we're watching some Hulu stuff, and we've seen him. He's been, I don't know if he's been, I'd call it saturating, but he has definitely
Allred? Yes,
yeah, he's
I've seen
been
some Allred.
on the streaming. So,
yeah.
but also just real quick, it's about 50-50 that they're actually. I guess Cruz right here says 86 million. And
It might be raised, though, as opposed to spent.
well, you're right. Based on raised versus
Because I don't know if they're going to spend all of it or whatever. So.
right. So there you go. So, but anyway, it's a pretty even spending though in this case.
But this
It's
is
just
another
crazy.
time though that Ted Cruz is a very serious contender though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you kind of wonder how many times can Ted Cruz fend off because Beto O'Rourke lost, but he didn't lose by a landslide.
No.
He lost by a few points. And
It was not a blowout for Ted Cruz.
Yeah, and
at all.
Colin Allred. So I think Cruz's likability, even amongst Republicans, is still relatively low. I think people are going, look, I don't want Colin Allred. I don't want a Democrat in there, but I really don't like Ted Cruz a lot.
Well, let me ask you. So, looking forward to the 2028 presidential election, obviously we're going to have a whole new field of contenders in 28.
Oh, sure.
Do you see Cruz stepping into that race?
He might step into it, but I don't think he'll. I think he'll get his nose bloody. If he's smart, I think he learned his lesson after that last presidential campaign, the one he ran against. I guess was it 16? Yeah, he didn't.
I think J.D. Vance is poised to be.
Oh, I agree. If they win,
Yeah.
which I expect they win. I honestly think, folks, I think this is going to be it's going to be a landslide. I think it's going to be we're going to know. I think we're going to know that night for sure that Trump has won. It's either that or it's going to be a razor tight finish. I don't think it'll be a landslide for Harris at all.
No.
And I don't think it's going to be a kind of here and kind of there. I think it's either going to be razor thin to where it's going to take weeks to figure it out, or I think it's going to be kind of a blowout on the Trump side. And I'm leaning more towards I think it's going to be more of a blowout.
Well,
on the
go
Trump
vote
side.
so that if there is any cheating, you can offset that cheating because they can't cheat 100% of the votes.
Well,
right?
it's not just that.
So
it's also important to vote even like for us. I mean, obviously, Donald Trump's going to win Texas, and obviously he's going to win this. But the popular vote, it's important to say. You hear so much they lost the popular vote, but they won the electoral vote. It's better to win both.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
definitely
so-
better. And that's just an exclamation on it.
Yeah,
right.
I think. Well, when you do that, it solidifies the win a little bit.
Yeah,
Right,
it does.
yeah.
It does.
So and also, what about the garbage comment? That
Oh,
you guys who support Trump are garbage. By the
Which
way.
I thought was funny is did you hear all the media and the Democrats are trying to spin saying that there was an apostrophe and he missed an apostrophe.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
It's yeah.
Yeah, well, and then Trump took full advantage of that garbage comment and wrote did he actually drive it? I didn't get to see the full video.
I don't know if he drove it or not, but he had on like the safety orange vest,
and then he ended
he
up
hit the garbage truck.
And then there's a whole story. He ended up going to the campaign stop in his.
Yes, he did.
And there's a whole thing. He is funny. He if you don't like him, you probably won't find him funny. But
Well, he's look, whether you like him or not, if you're a fair-minded person,
Yeah.
if you're intellectually honest, he's got good comedic timing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And he's got a sense of humor.
He does. He does.
City Council.
Well, yeah, I was talking about the Wichita Falls City Council. So the city manager here, Darren Liker, resigned after more than 20 years as city manager. And the search, they haven't really started, I guess, really searching yet for his replacement. They're going to have to employ a search firm.
Sure,
and I don't know if they've actually done that yet or not, but they'll employ a search firm that will go out and help them find a new permanent replacement for Darren Liker. In the meantime, an interim city manager has been selected. His name is James McKechnie. He currently serves as the deputy city attorney. And from what I understand, he doesn't meet the qualifications to be the replacement city manager. He can serve as interim, but he doesn't meet the necessary qualifications to be the permanent replacement city manager.
I didn't know that. I just know he's not a candidate for it.
Now, well, that's what I've been told is that he's qualified. He's obviously a smart guy.
He knows how to run the city.
He can handle the job. He can handle the job. He can handle the legalese and the got to dot this I, cross this T kind of stuff. Here's what I don't understand. There's at least 2 and I think maybe 3 assistant city managers. Why not put one of them in that role since they're already doing the job of an assistant city manager?
Well, one of them's already been doing it. It may be that there could be a lot of reasons. I don't know what the reasoning is.
Yeah.
It could be that because Paul Minzy has been the interim and he's going to step down. I guess it could be that they need to use them in their current roles. But it's also possible that the city council decided to put him in that area because he is an attorney, obviously.
Yeah.
And to make sure that all the legal stuff is handled at this point.
And maybe so.
That the city can, in some ways, a city can kind of run itself. I mean, the city manager is not running every little department all day long and everything. He's overseeing it all.
Sure.
And so it's kind of one of those deals, and it's possible that they wanted to put somebody in there who's an attorney, who's very, very versed with the city, who could just make sure that everything's going smoothly from a legal standpoint. I don't know that that's the case. It's just a guess.
And I do not expect that they're going to have a full-time replacement, permanent replacement for the city manager's position until well after the first of the year.
Oh, I'm going to say it's probably 6 months.
Spring, maybe.
Yeah.
Early summer, more than likely.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little while to do this. Once they have, let's assume that they haven't actually employed a search firm yet. Once they select a search firm, and they'll have to meet, and obviously they'll have to discuss what the criteria, what they're looking for, what we kind of want for our city, and then they start from there. And then the firm starts their search, and they go through the candidates, and they narrow that list down. And at some point, they'll get down to a selection of maybe 5 or 6 potential candidates, and then the city officials still have to interview them. And it's a process, and it's not a quick process. You can't do this overnight. And it's almost impossible, I would think, to find someone local that could step into that role.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think it will be. I think it'll be somebody because you want somebody who's got experience doing this. You're going to have somebody who's going to probably be at a smaller city right now. Yeah. And this is a chance to move up, or maybe somebody who's a deputy city attorney or assistant city manager at a size of Abilene or something the size of Wichita Falls, or even a San Angelo or a Lubbock or something a little bit bigger at Wichita Falls, and they're ready to move into that role. So that's my guess. Is it'll be somebody who's a step up, like a little bit smaller city of 50 to 60,000 person city, or somebody who's maybe between 100 to 150,000 in Texas that's ready to move up from a assistant to a city manager.
Here's what I hope. I hope that whoever that replacement city manager is, I hope that individual comes into I hope they pick someone who is able to visualize where Wichita Falls needs to go, where we want to go. And I hope that our city council does a good job of setting the right expectations for that person and then enforcing those expectations.
I have a good feeling that this city council will do that.
I do too. So, well, I think Wichita Falls probably has one of the best councils they've ever had, maybe the best council.
Yeah, I don't know how you compare it, but it is a good group of people.
I think it's a good group of. I think it's a group of people that are interested in and focused on growing the city.
Yes, I agree.
And seeing not just the economic growth, but also the population growth of the city as well.
And there are some seats. There's a couple seats up or there's one seat up right now. So get out and vote. If you haven't voted, get out there and vote and make your voice heard on that.
You got it.
Because it's at large. So if you live in the city of Wichita Falls, you'll be voting for an at-large counselor.
Again, special thanks to our guest today, coaches Lawrence Johnson from Legacy High School and Mark Bindel from Memorial High School.
That's right.
We appreciate those guys being here with us. We hope to have them back very soon. Thank you for joining us again. Visit our website, GetItRightTexoma.com. Our Facebook page, obviously, Get It Right Texoma. Find us on Facebook, like and share that. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. This podcast being brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls, since 1966, EddieHillsFunCycles.com. MacTech Solutions at 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B in Wichita Falls, MacTech-Solutions.com. We record this podcast in the MacTech Solutions podcast studios, by the way. And also by Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop, our online bakery. Great sweet treats for you at lpsweet.com and on Facebook, Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop. Be sure to like and share our page as well. All of our Facebook pages. We're all on Facebook, so be sure to like and share all of our pages if you would, please. Guys, thank you for joining us once again. Take care of yourselves. We will see you down the road.